Okay, and we're back. Farheen Beg. Well, I'm going to pass you presenter status. We're super excited to have you. So everyone that's on the line right now. So Farheen Beg is the director of technology from Butler School District 53, and she's going to talk to us about personalizing the PD in a pandemic. So I'm passing you presenter screen, and then Farheen, what will happen is that I want you to just tell us the story, and then about halfway in, half an hour in, I'll show another video. So you have a moment to take a drink of water and relax for like a minute, and then come back for questions with the whole audience, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. All right. So you have presenter status and you need to go to sharing to share. You can also share video if you want to share your webcam. Okay, we see your screen, so that's working. Good, good. Perfect. And then you can share webcam if you want to, but you don't have to.
Okay, sure. Maybe during the questioning I can share that. Will that work?
Yeah, that would be awesome. So it's so good to have you, and we're excited to hear what your solutions in here are. I'll remain on mute while you're presenting unless I hear you ask something. So, and I'll let you know if there's questions that come in.
Great, great. Okay. Yeah, that will work. Thank you for monitoring the chat. And thank you for having me. I did attend, a Learning Council live session when we used to have those. And I was so impressed. I did have my colleagues presenting, and so I thought, I felt I was so grateful for them presenting, for sticking their neck out, and I thought, I have to do I have to do the same. And there is something that we did as a district that I'm really proud of, and I thought I would love to get feedback from others to see what they think of what we did. So I'm calling this personalizing the PD in a pandemic, just for alliteration. It's not that awesome of a title, but really we all know that we should have been personalizing the PD no matter what. We all know that we should have been doing for our teachers what we tell our teachers to do for our students. So this isn't anything new, but I want to go ahead and just give you a little bit background, really quick background about myself. My name is Farheen Beg. I am the Director of Technology at Butler School District 53, and we may not have some of the hurdles that every school is having right now because of being remote or hybrid, because we did establish quite a bit of our digital platforms. Our ecosystem was well developed prior to going into remote learning. So we've been one-to-one, where iPads and Chromebooks. And the other advantage that we may have that other school districts do not, and the reason why we have been able to stay open, is that our student population is a little bit over 500. So we are a very small district. We are high achieving, and we have had the support of our parents, our Board of Education, and been able to safely reopen schools. But again, it mostly has to do with the fact that we're K-8, so we have a younger student population, and that we are a small school. We did give the option to our students to remain remote, and we have about 2/3 of the school in session in on-site right now, and more students are coming in starting next week. So we've been a little bit successful with that, but I completely understand why schools around our neighborhood are shutting down, because they're just they're much larger, and they're part of a high school district, so they have the older students who are susceptible to this virus more than the younger population. So, about this presentation, it is from the point of view of a technology director, and so I understand when people might say, well, I haven't been in the classroom for 8 years at least. So I understand why this may look like I am, just kind of not focusing on all the drawbacks and all the hurdles that teachers are having to face right now, because I personally have not had to go through them. But obviously, a different set of problems being the technology director, but I'm not in the trenches, so I'm not facing what the teachers are facing when they're trying to teach two different types of populations, on-site and remote. Other, like I was kind of discussing, the other advantage that we have is that we're not impacted by the digital divide. We do not have a student population that doesn't have access to technology or devices or Wi-Fi. So we were able to hit the ground running because that was already established. And then, also realize that I am talking about a professional development plan that we discussed probably starting last year, fall of last year, prior to knowing that we may, have this pandemic or have to go remote. However, we then really went into, we really sped up the process once this happened in March, and we went live with it in May. So we went live with it less than a year than when we had started planning it. We didn't know we would have to put this plan into, make it go live so soon, but we had no choice. So we are in year one of this new professional development plan. We don't know what the summer regression or the COVID regression is going to, how that's going to impact our students. We don't have the data from that, and so we don't know the exact success of this program yet. We know we've completed a lot of surveys, so we have that information, but we don't have student achievement data. So, what's the good news for me from the point of the Director of Technology is that I feel like everything that we have been doing or saying for years now is honestly, it's being taken seriously, right? We had always said, go digital, be collaborative, reach out to other parts of the world and communicate more and all of these things that we had been telling teachers that we know that they didn't have time to do because they were, just trying to focus on the teaching and learning. They have no choice now but to implement. So that's exciting that everything that we have been talking about is now being implemented. Also, I think whether you, whatever kind of teacher you are, you realize that you have to change and that there needs to be continuous learning. So that's exciting for someone who is in technology administration to see people, to see teachers, staff, TAs, everyone so accepting and so open and so inquisitive about technology and really taking those risks, becoming early adopters. And so that's exciting for us to see. And then the other benefits are that we've had all these tools, right? We've had all of these tools, and now we're maximizing the use of them because we don't have a choice, because without those tools, we can't survive. But what I'm really proud of from our teachers is that the focus is still on how to improve teaching and learning. We haven't lost that focus, but now we are doing it digitally. So what's the not so good news is that this dependency on technology doesn't mean that technology teams and staff and student needs are completely aligned. We still, technology teams would like to vet the resources much further. Staff and students want their technology, they wanted it yesterday when they're asking. So those, again, technology teams are asking the questions of, well, what are you trying to do with this? What is the purpose of this? And the staff, doesn't really have the time to answer those questions, or they don't want to answer those questions. So that problem still exists. I feel like we were doing really well with the student data privacy, all of the practices that come with that. And that may have come to a halt because we were in a panic, and we were trying to just implement the technology, just get it out, get it in the hands of students, and give the parents what they need so that they can help their learners at home. And so that, I feel that when we sit back, take a breath, and we realize what have we done, we may realize that student data privacy took a backseat. We also, because of this rush to grab all the tools possible, we went ahead and we started taking solutions from the corporate sector, which not always can be applicable to education or aren't always the best for education. So we've had to go through the pains of that, having to go through the pains of having multiple solutions that serve the same purpose, right? And then and what we have been working on so hard, which I know the Learning Council also advocates, is the streamlining of those apps and digital tools. And we hear the horror stories of districts who are using thousands of apps and how to streamline those. And this is not the time. Students and staff don't want to hear technology teams telling them to streamline right now. They want the solution, and they want it for, every little problem they're having, they need a different solution. And so right now we're having to answer those demands. So what we did is, and you don't really, this is kind of an internal chart, so you don't really have to memorize this chart, but we decided that we don't know what's going to happen in the fall, but we need to flip the classroom. And I'll talk about what that means and how you define that. And I actually have issues with using that terminology, but the district went ahead and we decided to take a PD plan that we could eventually sink back into our overall professional learning plan that we had, but we knew that we have a need right now for teachers to learn the tools. As much as we don't want to focus on the tool and we want to focus on the strategy, we realized that if our students aren't sitting in front of us, we may need some tools, and we may not have the time, the ability, the access to be able to teach the teachers all of these tools. So we knew we needed to create a quick plan that we could eventually implement into our bigger professional learning plan. And so in phase one was, we kicked it off in May, and we called it our badging, our internal badging program. We created a task force, and we just looked at what May to, possibly May of 2020 to just January of 2021. We just took that timeline as a snippet to see what we could do within that time, knowing that school may not look like it does traditionally in the fall of 2020. So again, here's a timeline. We knew that we're not going to be able to get everyone on board. We're going to have to, start with cohorts and take that very first cohort and work with them to figure out what is the best plan to quickly start to implement these tools, align them with strategies, and then eventually get it through to all of the staff by fall. So we had a really quick turnaround. So again, we called it flip the classroom. And what was, how are we going to define this? And we went through many different definitions, and what we realized is that what we traditionally thought of flip the classroom is not what we mean in this COVID era of flipping the classroom. And we took our first cohort to come up with a definition. The second question was, how are we going to motivate our staff for yet another plan? Because there's already a PD plan in place, but now we're kind of taking a smaller part of this larger PD plan and forcing everyone to be a part of it for the next 6 months. How are we going to monitor this, and how are we going to measure the success? So we ask the basic questions that anyone asks whenever there is an initiative, right? So what we had 50 certified staff. We decided to have one person lead this, and that was me. So I designed it, I had to lead it, and I managed the implementation. What assistance I did have is that we had 3 full-time teachers who would act as coaches. So that wasn't the best plan because they were full-time teachers. They were learning how to deal with teaching remotely. And so there was a lot of pressure put on them to help me implement this. And so we realized that we needed more. So we went from 3 teachers to 16 teachers, eventually assisting with monitoring and implementing the plan. Now here's the big, I probably should have bolded the next one. Staff was compensated. So we are very lucky to be in a district where the Board of Education supported this, the superintendent supported this, and we were able to compensate the staff. And I think, you know, I was trying to, I had hoped that I would be able to participate in this all day today, and I was not able to. But I did listen in when I believe, was it Dr. Wallace? And he was talking about how you can't just ask staff to take on all of these new initiatives without some type of benefit. And so they didn't want the staff to be doing this outside of the working day. We realized we will have to ask the staff to do this outside of the working day, so we had to compensate them, and that was only fair. And what I told the teachers is this, that teachers are at night, what are they doing? As a director of technology, I know this because they contact me in the evenings. They are making their lesson plans. They are teaching themselves the tools. They're figuring out new strategies to be ready for the next day. And so I told the teachers, you're doing this anyway. Let's come up with a plan that compensates you for it, that recognizes you for it, that somehow records the effort that you've made, and allows the entire district to learn from what you are doing in your silo, in your little pocket at home, and let's share that out with the entire staff. So we did initially ask staff to volunteer for this. We weren't sure how many people would be willing to do it. We had probably 20 teachers in the first cohort, and eventually by approximately thirds, the second cohort was the largest, and then the third was the smallest. We eventually got the entire staff in on this program by the fall, and I think it was because the popularity, and I'm not going to lie, it was the compensation. I'm sure that helped as well. The first cohort began in May 2020, and like I said, the entire staff had gone through it by the fall. And what I did is I really handheld the cohorts for the first 8 weeks, and then we let the teachers who had gone through the process and the mentors take over and take over the cohort. So I was always working with the new cohorts, and the staff that had gone through the cohort would be helping would be helping the rest of them. So our definition was that we're flipping the classroom that occurs when teachers engage and meet the needs of learners in flexible environments. It's still vague enough that we could work with this. And our mission was that teachers develop innovative strategies to deliver academically challenging and rewarding educational experiences for students in flexible settings. So how did we do this? Ta-da! The big way we did this, and I just took screenshots of our Google site. That was the tool. It was a non-interactive, forward-facing tool that I used to just get the information quickly out to our staff. And so the way we did it was micro-credentialing, right? We've all heard of this. It's flexible, it's accessible, it's customizable, and it allows the teachers to feel appreciated because we are trusting them and we are empowering them. So we had really 5 steps, really really easy steps on how to do this. We called it badging just because it sounded more fun than micro-credentialing. And we said that, first we want you to research yourself what your need is. And in the beginning, we offered 4 different badges. And after that, the staff was allowed to create their own badge. So initially, we went with formative assessment, 4 C's. I'm going to forget the rest of them. Students as creators, and I don't remember the next one, but I will look on the next one and figure it out. And it was ones that I had come up with just because what I thought were the needs of our staff being remote. And then the staff had to do a check-in with me, and then eventually with the coaches, to just give me an idea of what they are thinking, what their research is going to be, what their personal research is going to be. just to get kind of an approval. And initially I used to do this in open office hours. That got a little bit out of hand because, 20 people would show up in open office hours. So then I had people just make one-on-one meetings with me, and we would have a discussion about, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And what I had to realize, what I had to give up is something that I've been saying for years and years, which is focus on the strategy, not the tool. Focus on the strategy, not the tool, right? And I realized if they don't know the tool, then the strategy won't be successful. So I had to face it that, what, sometimes teachers need to focus on the tool. They need to learn the tool. Sometimes, and this may sound crazy, but sometimes the teacher needs to play with a tool to allow that to spark ideas to feed the strategy, right? So I was really flexible with whatever teachers were trying to do. And then then we just created a template for the teachers to share out what they did, and that was kind of their proof that they did it. That was to allow people to have ideas, to work off of each other's ideas. And so we created meetings where people would sign up and say, all right, I did this awesome thing, and I'm going to share out. And once they submitted all of their work, we had a system of, assigning the badge then. Oh, you put in this many hours, you completed this many artifacts. Okay, you get the badge in a silver status. Oh, you went ahead and you did this, and you did a lesson plan review, and you helped so-and-so, and you spent this many hours. Okay, you're gold status. And then, so on, and then platinum status. So I had all of those details worked out with the staff. They had a checklist, so they know what are all the options they could use in order to earn the badge. And that's like the nitty-gritty details that maybe that is what was the part of the success. But that would be really time consuming, and I'm willing to share out whatever anyone needs. But basically, once they went through all of that checklist and figured out what the artifacts were that they wanted to create, then they had to share them out. And those meetings were the most powerful, most rewarding for me. It was, if you're familiar with Danielson, it was, for a teacher, it was the perfect Danielson because I was just a facilitator in those meetings. I saw teachers share out and learn from each other, and so openly talk about their success and their failures. There was a no pressure environment. Really, they were just talking to each other. I had people who would come to me and say, oh, they would start off by saying, I'm not tech savvy. And then you would realize the amazing work that they had done. We thought, we were worried, is this going to be limiting to only classroom teachers? What about the PE teachers and the specials like art? And we saw, amazing work. We saw our PE teacher using Flipgrid to, have students submit videos to do the work. And we saw that right away. We saw that before the year even ended. So we knew that, okay, this is, we might be onto something. And so again, just going through with the 5-step process, and we always had the teachers evaluate, and we used that evaluation to tweak the process for the next cohort. The evaluation was very, very beneficial to me, and I was depending on the evaluation to see how to tweak the process. So this is like a sample of what a template looked like. This is obviously a completed template for someone who was doing a share out. So we asked them to how did you research the strategy? What resources did you use? What artifacts do you have? This person submitted 4 different lesson plans, and then for example, this person also completed a lesson plan review. So she worked with a colleague to have someone critique her lesson plan. And then she created a tutorial, a video on how to, what she did, what tools she used. She created a tutorial on the tools that she used even. So depending on how much work she had put in, I'm assuming this was probably the platinum status that she, received for this badge. And then it became a, we had to just make sure we start organizing it really well. All of the artifacts that people were turning in, so the rest of the staff could use them. This is just a quick snapshot of, the first cohort. And so those were the 4 badges. Flip the Classroom was actually a badge as well. And then, so like I was saying, we had to come up with a way of sharing this data, recognizing the people. So we made this interactive, on our Google site. You can look to see how many people have completed it and what status, where they are, what's their name, in case you want to contact them. So we did create this, interactive system of that, of recognizing our staff. So again, I know I only have 4 minutes left. So there's so many details in this, and I wasn't really sure, which details to point out. But one of them was, things, just facts and things that I think might have made this program successful. We really did focus on the lesson plan. So we had, each cohort had, I call them offshoot tasks that not only are you supposed to be badging, but I want you to create a lesson plan review, or I want this cohort to create a newsletter talking about the process so they can share, so we can share that out with the rest of the staff. So every cohort would get, some kind of offshoot task besides just badging. And so I think we really focused on the lesson plan. We really focused on implementing ISTE standards into those lesson plan. We openly had the discussion of tools versus strategy, and we were flexible with that. So if someone wanted to come to me and say, I want to use tool X, Y, and Z, I wasn't, I wouldn't shut that down with what a coach is normally told to say to a staff, which is, no, what are you trying to do? First, tell me what you're trying to do. And so instead of shutting them down, I would say, okay, why do you want to use this tool? What have you heard about this tool? What's attracting you to this tool? And so I let them focus on the tool initially, which didn't shut down their ideas, which allowed them to feel welcomed, and then eventually move into talking about, so you're talking about formative assessment. Okay. Oh, so what you're really trying to do is focus on the 4 C's. Okay, so what you're doing is you're really making the student the creator. Okay, so we allowed those conversations to occur. We did a lot of surveys, the staff, parents, and students, phone calls, just Google Forms, informal conversations. We had an outside consultant come in and actually do an audit of the program, where she was interviewing the staff, and we had an independent, that auditor create a report for us so that we had all the data collected. And then we reported all that out to the Board of Education. They were very supportive of this program. And one other thing that I did not focus on, and I know that I have a minute left, which really, really helped, is that we decided, just really on the fly, to have a virtual summer school program. So our teachers who had been in the cohort for about 6 weeks, we said to them, propose a summer school class, and we want to see everything that you just learned in the last 6 weeks implemented and in that summer school class. So teachers proposed ideas. Students were sitting at home with nothing to do, so we had parents who signed up for that summer school class. We were really fortunate that we were able to do that, and we were able to observe the teachers using these strategies in summer school, as an administration, to figure out, is this working? What can we take from summer school to actually build it into our fall program? So that's, I talked really fast, like an infomercial. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we did, what we called Flip the Classroom. And we are, still in the ongoing with it. Teachers are continuing to earn their badges, and we're basically rewarding them for the work that they're putting in those off hours. And we, we'll continue to collect the data, and we're really hoping that this will be a successful, flexible program that teachers will be appreciative of moving into the remainder of this school year.
This is awesome. Okay, so thank you so much, Farheen. This is really great. Okay, so you're going to stay on so we can all chat with you, and we can unmute everybody and have like a discussion half hour. And we have a few minutes here for us to just let all of our attendees unmute themselves and chat. And you know, find out who you are, where you're from, what's happening for you, what are your questions, what's going on with you. We still have Farheen on the line. You're still there, right, Farheen?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, great. That was an awesome presentation. And I do remember meeting you when we were live, and I miss that. I miss coming up there, and maybe we'll get to do that again. I actually kind of doubt we'll be able to do it in spring because we'd have to start planning with actual physical locations now, and nobody wants that. Um, you know, I don't want to be the person bringing up other people flying in from all over the country, you know, into your district, you know, kind of a thing. But so let's make sure we have you do a share your camera, Farheen, if you can. Let me see. Yeah, I think you can share camera. If you want to, you don't have to, but I'm gonna make sure I unmute everybody. There you are. You're adorable. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure everybody's unmuted on the line. I have to go through one by one. If you're self-muted on your side, you have to hit that little red button that looks like a microphone. So you unmute and it's green. Paul Gordon, you're unmuted. Susan Wilson, you're unmuted. Terry Ringler Petty, you're unmuted. I'm going to go back up the top of the list and unmute everybody. So you're unmuted by me, and then you can share out. And anyone else who's on the line can just pop on and share out as well. So, and then I'm going to ask you questions. So as soon as I get done doing all the clicking, I can sort of, you know, get in there. Eric Bryan, you're unmuted. Jill Fairday, you're unmuted. Corinne Chow, you're unmuted. Cindy Glavin, you're unmuted. So if you want to share out, if I see your mic is green and you don't speak up, I'm going to have to mute you again because otherwise we could pick up, you know, background noise, and that's no fun. Although we're all used to dogs barking now in the background, right? You know, cats crawling on our computers coming up to us. It's a moment. Maria Lopez, you're unmuted. Hi, Maria. Can you hear us? Okay, she's got piano in the background, so we're going to have to mute her again. Melissa Murphy, you're unmuted. Making sure everybody's unmuted. Pablo, you're unmuted. Paul Gordon, you're unmuted. I think everybody's unmuted now. Okay, so my question of the day is really, what are your thoughts on where things are going in the future, Farheen? Because this has been like a mad scramble for you guys, right? Like you've done a lot. I mean, this is huge. But what is your sense? What are like the threads of things going through what you can see? If you sort of step back for a second, what do you think?
So the trend, and the one thing that I am worried about right now, you know, I don't want to focus on the negative. I really think there's a lot of positives. I keep telling that to people that there's just hidden gems in this pandemic that we don't know yet, or some that we do realize. But you know, the one thing I am concerned about is that student data privacy, because that was outside of technology teams, that has not been a concern. And right now, when we have technology teams not keeping that as our focus, we're losing.
Okay, we lost you for a second there because your camera froze up. I'm going to take your camera off, Farheen, because that might be doing the freeze up. Okay, we lost her. Okay, maybe we'll get her back. Yeah, she must have lost temporarily internet connection, and now she's going to have to come back. Okay, we're going to wait for her computer to re-put her in this particular. There, we can hear you again, I think.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you again. I'm going to leave your webcam off because something's going on with your internet connection.
Right. Okay. So sorry about that. So I don't know how much you know, you didn't hear, but again, I said I don't want to focus on the negative, but the one concern I have right now is that we aren't focusing on the student data privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big deal, and a lot of people are not thinking that through. You know, they're using free apps for 7 and 8 year olds, and there's data collection going on, and yeah.
And I think that the issue is that in the past, it was only technology teams that were worrying about it to begin with. And right now, because we are just, overwhelmed, we also may have lost the focus on that. And so the progress that was made in the previous years, we are losing on that. And with that, we're losing out on the whole vetting process and streamlining of apps. So that's, that is a huge negative. And I am worried about that trend. But again, I don't know if you heard this, but what I was saying is that there are a lot of hidden gems in this pandemic as well. And
Mhm.
and I, and for me, the trend that I am, excited about is that staff, students, parents, teachers, Board of Educations will now focus on technology, and we will realize that it has to be part of the ecosystem, and everything that we had been talking about, using technology to be collaborative and to be transparent and to allow students to be creators, all of that we will do now because we don't have a choice. So that's the exciting part.
Yeah. Yeah. And how have the parents been? I mean, confusing time for them, obviously.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
have they been?
So, okay, so what we did is, we did create, we went ahead and created a completely different resource kit for the parents, and we had to do that. Ideally, what we would have wanted is for parents to be able to come in, for us to have, some digital night or something, but we can't do that, obviously. So it is a a forward-facing website that we've created, but it is a lot more tools than they've had in the past. They are, they were frustrated, but we have taken what they have said and honestly try to change our practices to be able to help them. There's simple things we have to realize, that we can't make parents create too many accounts, and we can't expect them to know technology. Just because they're highly successful in their own careers doesn't mean that they will understand technology. And so we realize that we do cater to them, and because we feel like we will get much farther with our students if we do. So instead of being frustrated, instead of saying things like, "Oh my gosh, you're a doctor. How do you not know this?" We realize we have to stop saying that, because not everybody uses Google Docs, for example. So if they don't understand something simple as, well, you don't have to save a Google Doc, we cannot, we can't mock that, because that's just something they didn't grow up with. So first of all, is we're just trying to understand where they're coming from, especially if you're a parent yourself, and then you're in education as a profession, you do realize all of those issues. And then second, we're just trying to create more and more resources for them. And when there is a need to create something, we're trying to take more of the steps off of their plate, and try to complete the steps as much as possible. Probably, we realize that eventually all of us need to be on some kind of dashboard which allows easy access for everything. I'm not just talking about single sign-on, but we probably need to, and this is there's a need probably for this, something that is beyond an LMS, that just takes all of these um, apps and resources that parents need onto one dashboard. And we're not there yet. Definitely, we're not there yet.
Yeah, that's the holy grail. I've had more than one district tell me that's their holy grail. And there's obviously a lot of work being done in that. Hey, Tim Beekman, if you're on the line and listening in, do you want to say something about that? I think you guys have probably worked hardest in that than anybody else. Hello, Tim, if you're there. Okay, maybe he's not there. Tim, are you there? Okay, maybe not. Yeah, so I know that the integration between those things, like how an LMS sets up a dashboard is different than how maybe ClassLink as a single sign-on? Because they really can only show you logins, right? An amount of time on task.
Yes,
They
for the
can't,
most part, correct. Are you
yeah,
hearing me now?
yeah, I can hear you now. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm fading in and out, but yeah, I think dashboards and something like a ClassLink, but I also think they're starting to develop time on task on iframe references and things like that as well. So there's some things going on. My internet's not really good. I'm in a hotel today, so sometimes I'm in and sometimes I'm not. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on with the dashboards, with the ClassLinks, and some of the other products as well. I see dashboards becoming real time, real live as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's still the disparity between, like, let's say you have ST Math, their dashboard, versus the LMS dashboard versus what's happening in Google versus login.
Yeah,
And
that's why I say the iframe's becoming more critical, is because the dashboards themselves are starting to look at how I'm iframing something so I can get data from multiple vendors within the same given structure, right? Versus I can only get it on a dashboard that gives me 20 different items. It really doesn't matter. What I want is the impact of those items together or separately. And I think what we're seeing is a change in that, in the framing is starting to become more apparent that we need the data across multiple platforms, multiple items within the model. And I see that really starting to fly at a lot of districts like a Gwinnett, where you got 97% of 200,000 kids online every day. And the teachers are wanting real-time feedback and real-time applications across multiple platforms. Or Lee County, I just see that those starting to be a really big issue. I think Chicago's definitely looking at that vision from multiple vendors within a given environment in the 30 or 40 different vendors piece.
yeah, and then the average school district has like 3,000 different apps in play or more. They're Houston, it's more.
Exactly.
So here's the twist that Farheen just talked about. Farheen, what you're talking about now is now the institution is not the teacher only looking at things. It may be the parents, and it may even be students themselves who want to see their own progress. So different views. So in other words, what happened with the pandemic is that your privilege management infrastructure of identities is not just rostering anymore. It's very complex. How are you rostering right now, Farheen?
Great question. So we actually do use ClassLink. And I know that ClassLink was actually at the conference that I had attended live. And so that has been huge for us. Because we were just lucky enough to have developed a single sign-on last year, and we were really nervous going in year 2 because we weren't sure how year 2 would look like. We knew how to set it up, but we didn't know how to maintain it, in the summer. But without them, I don't know. I honestly don't know how we would have gotten all that information out to parents. So at least the apps are accessible right now to students and parents in one dashboard. But we're not implementing the student achievement data onto that dashboard, or parent resources onto that dashboard. But at least students are able to get up in the morning, open up their devices, and open up exactly the tool that they need. So that's been a huge help. We have been able to use ClassLink for that.
Yeah, and that's awesome. But I love the fact that you mentioned the dimension of the parent side, because I don't think that's going to go away. I think it's going to grow exponentially over time, that there's a dimension of interaction that we haven't really codified or thought through yet. Fresno ISD in California did this thing where in one of their apps, they gave you, little stars for attendance, for turning in your homework, and all of a sudden their app just took off. They didn't even announce it, but they had a few students and parents that were regulars checking the sites, and all of a sudden the app took off. Pretty soon every kid everywhere was almost competing in this thing that wasn't really academic only, but it was an interactive thing where they could have some sort of personal gain from, being part of it all the time. And I think that that's a trend, right? That we're going to see this increase and increase in terms of like how much we parlay, with our community, not just with grades and teacher meetings, but a whole lot more, than, here's your login kind of a thing, and a whole lot more. So other people that are on the line right now, raise your hand if you want to chime in. We kind of want to know who you are and where you're from. We can kind of see your email address and we get a clue where you're all from. But I want to make sure that you know that you can raise your hand at any time, and we want to find out who you are. Okay, I think Dana is also back in here. So Dana, I'm going to call on you if you're here, and I'm going to make sure you're unmuted. Unmuting all. Okay, all of you guys are unmuted. So Dana, do you want to pipe in? Hi. Oh, I have to send you your pin. It looks like you're on audio only. So I just sent you your audio pin so you can join by audio. So as soon as you get that, just make sure you, pipe up so we can hear from you. And then anybody else who's here, it looks like we have a lot of people that different districts, different or sort of organizations. Corrine, I see you're here too. I want to know if I can hear you. You're unmuted on my side, Karina. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody pipe up. This is what teachers go through. They're like, hey, raise your hand. And then, it's kind of fun. What's funny is that a lot of superintendents have been telling us that some of the kids who were totally quiet in class never raised their hand. They were like very shy. All of a sudden on digital, they're like, blah, 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 questions, the sharing on everything. It's really cool. Oh, I see your mic isn't working, Karina. That's okay. All right. So one last question for you, Farheen, before you go. What is your management? What is the superintendency sort of saying is going to happen the rest of the year? Are you guys sort of in that unstable period of we don't know, could be, on campus, could be off campus, we don't know which direction everything's going to go?
Well, so, I realize that we are in a different position than probably a lot of the school districts around the country, because we are small, because we're from an affluent community, and we have the support again of the entire community. We don't see that we would be shutting down. So what we think, what we're seeing is that we could probably expand this into forms that our students could really benefit from. So what I mean by that is, what we've learned is that for some of our students, remote learning does work. Okay, what can we offer those students? How can we take other classes that we have wanted to offer but couldn't fit into a traditional day and package those classes, duplicate what we've been able to do in the summer school, and package those classes and offer those classes outside of the traditional school day. Could we simultaneously be running a virtual school while we have this on-site school? So we're looking into all of these different types of learning that we could do. Just being in the Midwest, you have to have those kind of backup plans anyway for snow days, but we're looking at them now on a much bigger scale. And we have this freedom, we have this liberty because we are small. So that's what, we're kind of looking at this really excited. We know that we're very limited right now when we're on site because of the way that students have to learn because of social distancing. So, whatever loss is occurring in on site, we are really hoping to recover remotely then, and offer these extra type of classes, offer a really robust summer school next year. So we're excited about that, because we don't want to keep focusing on the loss and what we can take from this. So we're looking to see how we could use this format on a more permanent basis.
That's wise, very wise. I think you're not alone too. I mean, a lot of people are thinking this is going to be a flexible century, so it's never going to be over. So very wise. And I remember growing up in the Midwest, how cold it could be. And I remember we liked the snow days as students, but yeah, I understand. Dana Hollander, I think we didn't get to hear from you before, and you're unmuted on my side if you want to speak up and introduce yourself. And thankful to you for sponsoring this hour from Scholastic. If you're still there, I want to know if you're still there, Dana. Well, you're muted on your side, so maybe we're not going to hear from you, but that's okay. I think we're going to wrap up at this point and just thank Farheen profusely and your whole district and everybody there. I mean, if we could give you all a virtual hug for all of your work, we would, but that's all we could do. We have to do air hugs now from afar and just say thank you for your work. It's awesome, Farheen.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to call next on anyone else who wants to make a final comment, whether they're a panelist that's, sort of lurking here, or anybody that's attendance, and then I'm going to move on to our next speaker.
Deployment, protection, service, end of life. Welcome to Staymobile's best-in-class solutions for educational organizations of all sizes. In order to keep your students connected throughout the pandemic, your district is likely tasked with managing an entire fleet of laptops to support your one-to-one technology requirements. And while your district's technology needs might be growing, it's likely that your support staff is not. That means you're underprepared to get hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of devices from the boxes in which they shipped, configured, and into the hands of your students. That's where we come in. Staymobile provides the services and solutions that remove or minimize almost every hurdle you'll face, and we do so in ways consistent with CDC guidelines in order to keep you, your team, and your students safe. We begin by looking at the entire device timeline, from purchase to deployment to usage to retirement, each and every step of the process. We then create a tailored solution set designed to alleviate every headache you might face along that continuum. First, we unpack your devices and dispose of the mountain of packaging refuse in green-friendly ways. We then boot up the device, install and configure the software to your specifications, and enroll it into your system. We then apply asset tags, install the high-quality protective case, and deliver it to your location fully charged and in slotted boxes. Next, we offer damage protection, extended OEM service, and a battery and power replacement program with Staymobile Protect, our industry-leading protection and service program, available with and without a protective case. We also provide standalone service solutions that repair, refresh, or facilitate the OEM warranty of your devices. And here's where we get to show off our national service network. Depending upon your location, we can organize pickup and drop-off services or prepaid shipping to and from one of our growing number of Staymobile technology centers. Finally, we can either establish a buyback program that turns your obsolete devices into cash, or we can recycle them for you. And all of these solutions can be configured to meet your specific needs. This approach allows you to effectively and efficiently outsource your device management needs to Staymobile, empowering you to reach and exceed your technology goals in measurable, manageable ways. For more information, please contact your regional Staymobile sales rep, Sean Murphy, at sean.sales@staymobile.com. 800-683-6467. Staymobile. Your devices, our solutions.